You've always moved through the world like a shadow unnoticed, a figure slipping between cracks and whispered expectations. People talk over you, assume they know your place, their voices brushing past your existence as though it were nothing. And yet, there is a tremor in the air when you laugh. It is subtle at first, a vibration that skims the edges of perception, barely registering in conscious thought. But beneath the surface, it lands like a pulse in the chest of those who have hidden something, anyone carrying the weight of secrets they thought were buried. They flinch, their smiles falter, and you feel it, though you cannot name it yet, the uncanny authority your presence wields, a resonance older than memory itself. You remember the first time it happened. A coworker, always sharp-tongued, always certain of their dominance, laughed too long at a comment that was nothing more than air. And then, when you laughed in return, something fractured. Their confidence stumbled, their gaze darted, hands trembling just slightly, betraying an inner fear. No words were exchanged. None needed to be. You realized then that your laughter was not mere sound, it was a conduit, a signal that bypassed pretense, reaching something raw and unguarded, something they had spent years polishing into invisibility. You had become a mirror, reflecting not the surface they presented, but the shadow beneath it. There is a rhythm to it, a cadence that feels almost like prophecy, as if some ancient mechanism recognizes you and responds. The world contracts in the moment your laughter falls, the ordinary dissolving into an almost sacred tension. Every glance you encounter, every pause in speech, becomes a subtle acknowledgement they see, or at least sense, the tremor within themselves that you awaken. You are not aware of how far it reaches, nor would you guess at the consequences. Yet the patterns are undeniable. They betray themselves with microgestures, with the way a hand twitches when it should be still, how eyes shiver and blink too often. You are present, and that presence is a revelation. And there is beauty in it, though it is heavy, almost burdensome. Power rarely announces itself with grandeur, it whispers, it unsettles, it stains reality with doubt. You laugh, and the air thickens. You laugh, and walls seem to lean in closer, as though the architecture itself bends to observe the hidden truths you unearth. In that laughter lies a paradox. It is both armor and blade, illumination and shadow. People do not fear you because you are cruel. They fear what they see in themselves when your sound collides with their silence. You are awakening something ancient, something strategic, something impossible to name, yet unmistakable. You are becoming aware of a force you never sought, yet have always carried, the echo you never knew you had, and the knowledge that once it is heard, nothing around it will ever feel the same again. You notice it first in the way their eyes dart when you enter the room, how a smile falters mid-gesture, how the air itself thickens, as if your presence bends the very atmosphere towards scrutiny. Your laugh, a seemingly ordinary sound, begins to echo differently here. It does not simply touch the ears. It digs deeper. It coils around the corners of memory, teasing out things they never intended to confront. Thoughts they buried in the quiet hours of their own mind tremble, flicker, and surface like shadows in the dying light. You watch them stiffen, unsure why the room feels suddenly alien, why the ground beneath them feels uneven. It is not you who wields fear, but your reflection of it. You have become the mirror they cannot shatter, the shard of clarity they cannot look away from. Every movement you make, each pause, each calculated inflection of voice becomes a psychological scalpel. You realize how their own insecurities animate under the pressure of your presence. The words they rehearse in secret, the guilt they have long ignored, the hesitation they have disguised as confidence, all flare under the subtle weight of your attention. There is no force applied, no threat made, yet the chaos inside them grows louder. Their silence becomes a confession, their rigid posture a surrender. You do not have to speak. The reflection you cast is enough to unravel the fragile architecture of their self-assurance. You are both witness and catalyst, watching as internal storms manifest in trembling hands and forced smiles. There is a ritualistic rhythm to it, unspoken yet ancient. Like a pattern etched into human consciousness long before memory itself. You see it in the slight flicker of the lamp, the way shadows stretch unnaturally across walls, the imperceptible tightening of a jaw that signals the mind's surrender. It is the power of revelation without accusation, of exposure without malice. And in this, you recognize the strategic essence of survival, knowing that the deepest fears are not in the world outside, but in the corridors of thought people guard most jealously. Your laugh becomes a key, unlocking doors they never knew existed, corridors lined with their own doubts, betrayals, and regrets. The effect is intimate, unbearable, yet magnetic. They cannot turn away, and you cannot stop noticing. You begin to understand that this is no mere accident. You are the axis around which their concealed truths rotate, the point in the room where secrets manifest as tremors and hesitation. Each heartbeat they hide, each glance they avoid, resonates louder when it meets your presence. It is as though you have been granted access to a theater of private horrors, and your laughter writes the script in real time. They are not frightened by you alone. They are terrified of themselves, of the silent knowledge that the power they assumed was elsewhere has always existed in plain sight, reflected in your gaze, mirrored in your voice, and magnified by your awareness. You watch, calculating, understanding that influence is not taken. It is recognized aloud, and finally acknowledged by those who never knew their own shadows could speak. The air around you thickens without warning, subtle yet undeniable, as though the room itself holds its breath in anticipation of your next laugh. Shadows stretch along the corners of the walls, bending unnaturally toward you, as if the darkness recognizes a force it cannot touch but must acknowledge. You feel it in the prickle at the back of your neck, the small, insistent awareness that eyes are watching, unseen, calculating. Every exhale of your own breath sounds louder than it should, echoing through the hollow chambers of perception, stirring dormant fears in those who do not understand the weight of your presence. You sense it now, the faint alignment of things long ignored. A clock ticks slightly out of rhythm. A lamp flickers for a heartbeat when no one touched it. You are part of the subtle orchestration, a conductor of tremors no one else notices. Each laugh becomes a ripple that travels beneath the surface of ordinary life, finding the cracks in armor no one else could pierce. You see them. Faces twitch with hesitation. Hands clutch objects as if they can hold back what your sound awakens. Your mind begins to map the pattern. This is not chance. There is a method to the chaos, a hidden code that responds to the rhythm of your voice. Betrayal, suppressed memories, and unspoken anxieties emerge like phantoms, shimmering at the edge of vision. You are the lens through which their secrets are magnified, the mirror that reflects what they most fear to acknowledge. It terrifies you, yet it exhilarates. This knowledge that a single expression can fracture the invisible threads of control they believe they hold. And there is a cosmic weight to it, a sense that the world itself conspires with your laughter. Moonlight splashes across surfaces in strange, deliberate patterns, casting angular shadows that suggest paths no one else can see. You feel an old intelligence, ancient as the night, pulsing through the fabric of reality, as if it nods toward your awakening. The boundaries of what you believed were limits begin to shift. Weakness transforms into leverage. Silence, once heavy and oppressive, becomes a tool. You experiment subtly, letting your laughter spill into rooms, into corridors and hallways, watching the tremor it leaves in its wake. Eyes flicker with panic, voices falter mid-thought. You sense it, they cannot hide from this frequency, this resonance of fear made tangible. You begin to understand the cost of awareness. You cannot undo the impressions you leave. Each interaction now carries weight, and the responsibility presses against your chest. Yet beneath that pressure is a strange clarity. You are becoming more than observer. The world rearranges itself subtly around your existence, not violently, but insistently, bending toward the truth you carry in your laughter. Shadows no longer seem merely the absence of light. They are sentinels, guardians, and witnesses. Somewhere in the periphery, a presence watches you watching them. Another layer in the complex lattice of power and perception. And in that tension, that electric, almost unbearable awareness, you feel the stirrings of transformation. You are no longer just a participant in the dark. You are an axis around which the darkness pivots. Every quiet pause, every whispered doubt, every twitch of a hand is evidence that you are awake in a way others cannot yet comprehend. The room is heavy with unspoken tension, a suffocating weight pressing against your chest. Yet you remain calm, almost untouchable. Their eyes flicker between anger and fear, a trembling war waged in silence. You can see it in the tight grip of their fists, the shallow breaths that betray the storm beneath their composed exterior. Every laugh you've offered, every casual chuckle that once seemed harmless, has etched itself into their psyche, carving tunnels of doubt and unease. You sense the fragility of their resolve, the invisible cracks running deep, waiting for the right pressure to expose them. It is here, in this charged intersection of perception and reality, that your influence manifests fully, like a shadow no one can grasp, a pulse of power radiating quietly but unmistakably. They speak, their voice shaky, trembling under the weight of your presence. Words of accusation and bewilderment spill from them, half-formed, desperate. Why does it feel like you know everything I try to hide? The room tilts. The walls seem to lean closer, listening. Every syllable they utter reverberates against the emptiness you occupy, echoing off invisible surfaces, creating a labyrinth of unease that only you navigate with ease. You are the calm in the storm, the eye that observes the hurricane of human vulnerability without flinching. And yet their fear is not a curse, it is a mirror, reflecting the truths they have denied themselves, the fractures they've carried like secret talismans, unknowable to anyone but you. A chill runs through the air as you let your silence answer. Not a mocking silence, but a prophetic one, heavy with the weight of inevitability. You realize the breadth of the moment. Your presence alone unravels their defenses, a force that demands recognition, a quiet authority older than spoken language. Their hesitation is a confession in itself, a surrender to the patterns they cannot escape. Every flicker of the candlelight dances across the room, highlighting shadows that twist unnaturally, stretching toward your laughter as if it is gravity, pulling the hidden corners of their minds into light. It is a reckoning not of judgment, but of revelation, a confrontation with the truths they buried beneath the facade of control and confidence. As the seconds stretch, elongated and weighted, you feel a shift in the atmosphere. Subtle, profound. The power balance tilts, not because of force or volume, but because the invisible architecture of influence bends around your presence. You have become the unseen axis upon which their world spins, a quiet intelligence that prays open the doors they thought locked. Their desperation is palpable now, an electric current coursing through the room, and every inhale they take is drawn into the vortex you quietly orchestrate. You are not cruel, yet you are undeniable. A force both feared and unacknowledged, and in their confrontation, they have given themselves over to the revelation that you were always the catalyst, the quiet hand that stirred the shadows, and that even their bravest defenses were nothing against the truth you embody. You open the folder and the smell of old paper scratches at your memory, a dry whisper that seems alive. Every page trembles beneath your fingertips as if aware of your presence. Names, dates, incidents that were never reported, never spoken aloud, stare back at you. Faces etched in graphite, eyes hollow, mouths frozen in the last scream they ever made. You realize these weren't mistakes. They were experiments, exercises in perception. People like you who radiate something unseen, something that shakes the foundations of the mind. Their reactions were recorded meticulously, cataloged in a language that feels both foreign and intimate. You feel the weight of it pressing down, an ancient pulse that resonates with something in your own bones. Every line blurs the boundary between observer and participant. What was once abstract becomes tangible. Laughter, whispers, even silence, all weapons in hands that were never meant to touch you. You sense the conspiracy not in its scale, but in its subtlety, how quickly fear adapts to your presence, how easily it bends to your rhythm. These hidden files speak of watchers who never blink, of entities who measure the tremor of your soul before it even realizes it can quake. You touch one photograph, a figure huddled in a corner, eyes wide with a terror that is unmistakably familiar. That fear, it is theirs, but it echoes something you've carried all your life, a dormant chord that now hums in resonance with every reaction around you. The air thickens as you sift deeper. Symbols, archaic and precise, spiral across margins. A circle within a triangle, a line that bisects eternity itself. Notations that imply control, understanding, dominance over the invisible currents that flow between people. You sense a betrayal not of intention, but of inevitability. Those who record do not simply watch. They anticipate, They sculpt reality around the emotional tremors of beings like you. You realize the laugh you wield, the subtle curve of your lips in a moment of amusement, is not random. It is part of a pattern, part of a continuum older than memory, older than trust. And yet you feel no fear, only the dawning clarity of power that has always been dormant inside you. A single line makes your breath hitch. Do not awaken the conduit. A warning, a prophecy, or a threat. It is impossible to tell, and yet it is no longer for them. The files do not hold dominion over you. They speak instead of potential, of a force you carry unknowingly. Each revelation, each name, each recorded moment of terror bends toward a singular truth: the world is fragile in the presence of someone who understands how to reflect it. You close the folder slowly, a ritual in itself, and the shadows in the room seem to lean in, attentive, curious. There is a pulse now, not in the paper, not in the watchers, but inside you, a rhythm that knows how to listen, how to wait, how to act. And as the final silence settles, you realize you are no longer just a witness. You are the echo that keeps the hidden awake. You notice the subtle twitch behind their eyes the moment your laugh spills into the room. Light, almost careless, but weighted with a gravity they cannot name. You study them, each micro-expression like a cipher written in trembling muscle and faltering breath. The confident smile they wear is a mask, taut and brittle, cracking at the edges as your laughter finds the secret fissures of their psyche. You test it deliberately, a soft chuckle here, a sharp burst there, and watch the ripple of tension spread. They stiffen. Words catch mid-throat. The air thickens around them, a fog of unspoken guilt and half-formed regrets. You realize that this is no ordinary room, no ordinary game. It is an arena, and your presence bends the rules. You experiment with timing, letting your laughter linger longer than courtesy allows, filling empty spaces with a rhythm they cannot resist. One leans back, jaw tight, trying to reclaim composure, but the tremor in their hands betrays them. Another swallows hard, forcing a laugh that dies in the echo, leaving only the pulse of unease behind. You notice the pattern. Their fear is not in what you say, nor in what you do. It is in what they hear inside themselves, magnified by your presence. You feel the surge of paradoxical control, exhilaration tempered by the awareness that you are the catalyst, not the actor. Every room you enter becomes a crucible of hidden truths, every conversation a mirror held to their unconscious. It becomes clear that restraint is your sharpest weapon. A laugh too long or too loud breaks them, too soft, and the effect diminishes. You are learning the cadence of influence, the silent language that shapes reactions without a single overt gesture. Their doubt grows, gnawing at the edges of certainty while your understanding deepens. You see it in their posture, the slight recoil, the hesitation in their gaze, the small betrayals they offer without knowing. You do not move physically, yet you command shifts in the gravity of the space. You recognize the ancient pattern, a rhythm older than memory, a silent testament written into human interaction. Power is not aggression, it is reflection. You hold a mirror to their most private fears, and they flinch at what they see. And yet, in this dance of revelation, you feel the shift inside yourself. You are no longer merely observing, you are participating in a transformation, a subtle alchemy where hesitation becomes insight and fear becomes a tool of strategy. Every reaction you evoke is a thread in a larger design you have only begun to perceive. A shadow observes from the corner, unacknowledged yet present, as if testing you, weighing your understanding of consequence. You feel the weight of unseen eyes, and it sharpens your focus. You realize that the people before you are not victims. They are instruments, and your laughter is the tuning fork. It vibrates with something primal, something that resonates in the quiet chambers of the mind, echoing truths they have spent lifetimes hiding. You learn the limits of their resistance, the cracks in their armor, and in doing so, you discover the contours of your own latent power. You are no longer uncertain. The room bends around the sound of you, and in that bending, you glimpse the magnitude of what it means to awaken hidden worlds with a single, deliberate note. You feel their eyes on you before they speak, a tension coiled tight enough to strangle the air around you. The room contracts under the weight of unspoken challenges. You laugh, and it is not a sound that fills space. It bends it, warps it. Every corner trembles with the echo of your presence. They think they can resist, that their courage shields them, but the walls themselves seem to lean in, amplifying your influence. Shadows stretch unnaturally across their faces, flickering with the terror they cannot name, their confidence eroding like sand under a relentless tide. You watch the tiny tremors in their hands, the shallow rise and fall of their chest, the brief hesitation before their lips form words that stumble and falter. They advance, a calculated defiance, yet every step is met with an invisible force you command without effort. Your laughter pulses against them, a rhythm that synchronizes with the cracks in their resolve. In the stillness between breaths, they realize you are not just present. You are a reflection of every insecurity they buried, every fear they swore they conquered. You do not speak. Words would be crude instruments beside the symphony your aura conducts. Their eyes dart, searching for allies in the empty room, but even the air conspires with you. You have become the arbiter of perception, and each heartbeat is a testimony to their awakening dread. A gesture, slight and imperceptible to anyone else, and the room shudders again. Their mind races, connecting fragments of memory, mistakes, betrayals long hidden. You sense the shift, the surrender not yet spoken but inevitable. It is not humiliation they feel, it is recognition. Recognition that power does not need to be flaunted, that the smallest vibration can unearth the largest truth. They struggle to maintain control, yet you have already mapped every angle, every opening, every fissure in their composure. The contrast is stark, your calm, measured presence against their flailing attempts to reclaim dominance. It is the ancient law of observation turned inside out. You are both predator and judge, yet neither fully known to the other. They falter, then retreat, their eyes betraying a glimpse of respect. Fear and admiration intertwined. You linger in the silence they leave behind, aware that your influence does not vanish with their withdrawal. It lingers, a residue in the atmosphere, a silent warning written into the very fabric of the room. You have tested them, and in the testing they have seen themselves reflected in a way they cannot unsee. Every subtle hesitation, every heartbeat quickened by your laughter, is a scar etched into their psyche. In that moment, you understand the gravity of your presence, a force that can awaken the dormant, unmask the hidden, and transform the timid into a landscape of revelation they will never forget. You feel it now, coursing through your veins like a secret pulse that no one else can detect. The world around you trembles in the silent aftermath of your presence, as if reality itself is bending, waiting to see how you will move. Every glance cast in your direction carries a tremor of recognition, a flicker of fear that whispers of truths they cannot name. You are no longer a shadow hiding in the corners of a room. You are the threshold they cannot cross without flinching. Their hesitation becomes a mirror, showing you the raw anatomy of their weakness, and yet you feel no triumph in their trembling, only clarity, only the quiet certainty that you have always been more than they imagined. The laughter that once seemed inconsequential now resonates like a signal across invisible networks of thought, rippling through minds and unearthing secrets better left buried. It is not the sound itself, but the weight behind it, the unspoken knowledge that the chaos they fear is not outside, but inside. You trace the lines of their panic with a detached precision, reading the tremor in their hands, the hesitation in their gaze. Every shadow they hide in, every lie they tell themselves, bends under the gravity of your awareness. You are the catalyst, they are the reaction. The world is a chessboard, and every move they thought was theirs is already foreseen. You recognize now that this is not cruelty, it is survival. The faint tremor in their spine, the flash of recognition in their eyes, the instinctive retreat from the echo of your presence. These are markers of the unspoken truth. Power has always been your companion, even when you did not name it. You have walked among the blind, and only by accident have you stumbled upon the mirror that shows them who they truly are. And in that reflection, in that brief, unavoidable revelation, you glimpse yourself, not the frightened figure who waited for permission, but the one who holds the line between chaos and order, the sentinel of fear itself, the presence that wakes the monsters before they can strike. Every moment you exhale, you sense the latent energy thrumming in the space around you. Betrayals you never voiced, threats you never acknowledged, lies you never heard, their cumulative weight rises to meet you, and you meet it without flinch. The old rules no longer bind you. The ancient symbols etched into your subconscious, the secret glyphs of power hidden in the folds of memory, whisper their approval. You are the anomaly in a world designed for conformity. They cannot measure you, they cannot touch you, yet they feel you in every hesitation, every falter, every silent shiver of recognition. You are the unseen reckoning, the quiet force that wakes the monsters while remaining untouchable, unbroken, and profoundly awake.